Best of r/confessions episode 25. Subscribe for edit videos daily. I'd really be into calling a boyfriend daddy. When I talk with my friends, I make fun of girls who call their boyfriends daddy. At the end of the day, however, I think I'd be really into it with the right person. Thank you. Next. The death penalty should be an option for child molesters. If someone molested one of my children, I'd want them dead. I'm 100% serious about this. People who abuse children in this way shouldn't be allowed to exist. Simple as that. Thank you. Next. I'm sorry for all the pain I caused. I never said it to you. I will never do. But I'm sorry. For everything. I knew you were alone and vulnerable. You were different to everyone and it was hard for you to fit with others. I'm sorry. I made fun of you. Made you cry in front of everyone more than once. I know how you felt. I know you will have this pain for a long time. I know that you will hate me for a long time. I'm sorry. I was just trying to return all the pain I received before. I hope you can heal and find happiness someday. I'm sorry. Thank you. Next. I wax vaginas and buttholes for a living. Most of my family thinks I give facials and wax eyebrows all day, but I actually specialize in bikini waxing and wax 10-20 vaginas a day. I've been doing it for years and I make really great money. Thank you. Next. I now own my parents' house and plan to evict them. Hi folks. I hope you're all doing well, and that you're getting a lot off your chests where needed. So this is a story all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down, so I worked hard and bought my parents' house. Now I will admit this right from the start. I'm not a good person by doing what I am doing. TLDR is at the bottom if you'd rather a summary of the whole crazy story. I'll have to give a little bit of backstory to explain this whole thing. My parents married young. I wasn't planned. And when they were growing up, it was the standard thing that when you have a baby, you get your own place. It didn't matter if you rented or bought a place. So with my parents being young and with a baby on the way, they rented from this lovely fellow from Osaka, Japan, who we'll call Uncle Kyu. Now Uncle Kyu was a wealthy man, who made a lot of money from oil and property, but he started from nothing, so he knew that being young, you needed a helping hand to get people started. So he would rent out apartments and houses at lower than market rates for people who wanted a roof over their heads. He still made a profit, and because he had so many properties, he has always had steady income, whether there's a recession, floods, war etc. Now Uncle Kyu was always generous to me and my family, helped where he could. We even had him over for birthdays and New Year's. He once brought me to the dentist when I fell and broke a tooth at age 11, and he paid it without question. Over time, as my parents got older, finished college, got better jobs, he helped them move from a 1-bedroom apartment with no garden, to a nice townhouse, to a 3-bedroom house right outside the city centre in Dublin, all of which he owned and rented out to them. However, if Kyu has a fault, he always tries to see the best in people, even if their flaws are staring him in the face. The reason I'm telling you so much about Uncle Kyu is because he is very important in this story, and because I literally owe him my life. About 12 years after they had me, they unfortunately were in a car accident, and had numerous injuries. My dad cracked his ribs, tore a muscle in his back and dislocated both shoulders. My mum broke her leg in 2 places and shattered her right foot. Thanks to these injuries, they sadly lost their jobs. This was back when you could get away with making people redundant for long-term medical injuries. Thanks to the injuries and losing their jobs, they were stuck at home all day, and could do very little except take painkillers and watch TV. I spent a lot of time with family, babysitters, or just hanging out with friends outside for at least a year while they recovered and went through rehab and surgeries. There is a part of long-term injuries that isn't always brought up: pain management. Between broken bones, torn muscles and not being able to work, mum and dad were in pain, and taking a lot of pills and injections just to function, and well, pain medication can be quite addictive and can change you as a person. This was only too clear to see as my parents changed from proud, hard-working, loving people to addicts who cared about getting a fix. Once they recovered from their injuries, they couldn't get pain pills anymore, so they switched to heroin and alcohol. Once that started, the abuse soon followed. They tease me about everything. making me feel bad about getting 92 on a test. Why didn't you get the other 8%? Stealing money I was making at a part-time job I had as a waitress in a hotel. It's in our house, so it's our money. Complaining about having to pay for new bras/clothes when I outgrew them, which I unfortunately did a lot, culminating in me learning to sew/make my own bra extenders and repair tears in my clothes and school uniform. To this day, I still have an emergency clothes fund as a just in case, guilting me into slowly doing more and more housework, to the point my days literally consisted of get up, make their breakfast, go to school, occasionally go to work, come home, do the housework, make dinner, do homework, shower, bed. The moment that broke me was when I was 17. We had been fighting over something stupid. To this day, I still can't remember what, but I do remember what they said to me. Dad, you're just a lazy, good for nothing bitch. All you do is rip your clothes with your fat fucking tits and complain, even though we keep this roof over your head and food in the fridge. Mum, so shut up, you're worthless. You're just going to be a waitress all your life anyway. You're not worth a fiver. This was followed by a slap from dad and my mum spitting on me. Have you ever heard the expression, you can't see the forest through the trees? Well, that damn day lit a fire under me and I got ready to burn the forest down. What followed was me putting all my time into school and work. This part will sound like I'm bragging. I don't mean to. I'll try to make it more factual and to the point. The next 5 years seemed to fly by in a month. I don't know how or why, but I turned into a machine and made something of myself. I finished my leaving cert, the equivalent of SATs for you lovely Yanks across the sea, and got into culinary college. Passed with flying colors, and a very sticky croquembouche that fell on my teacher, and got a job as a prep chef in the hotel I was working at. Moved out of my parents' house and into an apartment. Thank you Uncle Q. Busted my ass and got promoted to commie chef, then line chef, and after about 3 years, sous chef. I wasn't the best chef there, far from it, but until I made sous chef, I was paid hourly, so I worked every hour they would give, and that earned me a lot of respect. Plus I would always clear the oil and water drains in the kitchens. Save up a lot of money for a rainy day. All the while, my parents fell deeper into their addictions. We kept our distance mostly. We saw each other on birthdays, Christmas, etc. Occasionally I'd get a call to borrow money for food. Here's a tip. If someone asks for food money, offer to bring them shopping. If they're genuine, they'll jump at the chance. If not, they'll run. Whenever I visit, their house has fallen into disrepair. Broken windows, torn wallpaper, burn marks everywhere, mold in the ceiling etc. Broken plumbing. Seriously, I had to turn the water off to stop the second floor from being destroyed. Uncle Q notices but they won't let him in to fix the place up. The moment that made my attitude go from I'm going to make something of myself to I will destroy you was last Christmas. We went to a family get together, and it was the usual party. Big turkey, way too much mulled wine, tons of presses, old song about Auld Lang Syne and everyone watching Emma's Brown's Boys. It's a popular show with our family. My lovely aunt was telling anyone who would listen how I helped save her daughter's wedding by catering the whole thing. I didn't. I just put her in contact with a friend of mine who specializes in wedding meals. And my dad in his pill and mulled wine induced stupor decided to rant about my career. A caterer? A fucking caterer? Oh no, I'm sorry, you're some big Ponzi chef. Why didn't you go into construction like me? Do something useful with your life, not some worthless career where all you do is peel potatoes all day. My mum, of course, decides to chime in and essentially mumbles some inordinate abuse, calling my work not a proper job. Anyone can do it. A cow like you isn't worth a damn fiver. Now this is where they touched a nerve. I will admit, I'm a woman who has an ego when it comes to my work. I'm not at the level of Michelin star chefs, but I'm damn good at what I do. I worked hard to get there and I know I'm worth something. Skipping forward a couple of weeks and I'm at my Uncle Q's house for his New Year's party. He always celebrates it in mid-January for some reason, and he's talking about work and how it's a good time to sell some of his properties that are vacant. And it hits me. What if I buy my parents' house? So Uncle Q and I get talking and he realizes that with the house in such a state of disrepair, it would cost a lot to repair. so he agrees to sell it to me at a cheaper price rather than having it fixed up first. I'm not proud of this, but I convinced, outright lied, him that I wanted to buy the place to ensure my parents would always have a roof over their heads. Well, it took nearly 6 months, and this damnable COVID-19 crisis didn't help, but soon enough, I got the confirmation from my lawyer and estate agent that I now own my parents' 3-bedroom house and I'm their new landlord. As part of the sale, I asked Uncle Key to organize the transfer of rent payments to a new bank account that I set up, and I've had him work as my intermediary with them, so they haven't had to meet their new landlord yet. I can't evict them yet. There is currently a freeze on evictions in my country, but once the COVID-19 crisis is done, they'll have 3 months to get the hell out, then I can fix the damage they've done and move into my own home. Meanwhile, they're on benefits and can barely afford a damn meal, never mind somewhere to live. I'm watching the calendar, waiting for my day to visit and serve an eviction notice. I'm not the good girl or the hero of the story, but I'm worth more than a fiver. TL. Doctor parents brand me as useless, light a fire under my ass and fall into addiction. I use the fire to burn down a forest, get a job and buy their house, which will leave them homeless by 2021. Thank you. Next. I just want to be loved so badly. I want someone to love me. I want them to think I'm beautiful and smart and funny, and I want them to laugh when I'm being stubborn. I don't want to be judged. I want to be kissed all over my face and I want to be held. I want to be surprised and I want love letters. I want someone to take pictures with. I want adventures. I want it to be mutual so I can indulge in my desire to spoil someone and care for them. I want to feel it unapologetically. Thank you. Next. I'm disappointed when my BF's clothes don't get ruined in the wash. My BF and I have lived together for 5 years. He never undoes the buttons on his dress shirts. He just pulls them over his head and throws them in the wash. For 5 years I have been telling him, undo your buttons or they will get ripped off. I undid them for him for a long time before I would put the laundry in, but I finally stopped. Every time I see a dress shirt with buttons done up in the dirty laundry I think, this is it, he will finally learn his lesson. And every time the shirt comes out fine. Son of a bitch.